Hello, it's Shelly again, and it's time for a couple more movie rants. So I've decided on a formula for this. I'll do 3 to 4 movies. One will be something nostalgic classic that I remember from childhood. One will be something that I've never seen, and then the other two will be a catch-all. They may be something I've never seen, maybe something else I've seen. It's just been a while, so either way, we'll feel how it goes. And I guess the first one we'll start is one I had seen maybe within the last year, and I actually showed it at my Halloween party. I believe our theme was a salute to Charles Band. So it was all his movies from either Empire or Full Moon or something else, and it didn't necessarily have to be something he himself had done, but something one of his companies had done. So our first movie, which is actually on the streaming service, originally I had gotten part of I think they called it Grindhouse flicks, which were all Charles Band's kind of Grindhouse movies or kind of his retro movies, and they started off as all of his. Then they were pulled in from other ones that he did, but that streaming service was good for a while, and then eventually he did the Full Moon streaming service, which included now the Grindhouse. So the old Grindhouse flicks service no longer exists, but the Full Moon one exists, and it's even better because it has the whole Full Moon catalog, which includes like your Trancers, your subspecies. More recent entries are like the Ginger Dead Man or Gingerbread, I can't remember, and Evil Bong. But it also includes the Grindhouse flicks, which include the Linnea Quigley classic Sorority Babes and Slimeball Bowl-O-Rama. And I say Linnea Quigley, but really it has Brink in it, Brink Stevens, and other group of Motley Crue people. And the odd part about this, let's see, I want to just make sure, directed by David Dakota. I'm jacking up his name. What he's known for now is a bunch of homoerotic kind of style movies. Back then, he was still just doing fun stuff. And if you look at his stuff in the 80s, it's definitely worth watching. His more recent stuff are, well, it's okay. It's basically a lot of implied sex or implied something or another. And for me, it doesn't matter. I like looking at hot guys, but it's not really the same creativity and interestingness that it used to be. So, what is this film about? There's a couple girls that are in a sorority and a couple, I would say, geeky, nerdy guys scoping them out. And somehow, to long story short, everyone happens at the old bowling alley where there is some creepy ass shit going down with some guy that looks like he would give, well, kind of reminds me of a ghoulie. Kinda, but maybe not. I don't know what else to say. And grants your wishes. But your wishes are kind of not exactly how you expect them to be. So it's a morality tale. So what I loved about this movie, I remember watching this, like I said, within the last year. And oddly enough, I was in the living room. My mother, who stays with us, was watching with me. It's like, what are you watching? And even she couldn't be, who doesn't like any of my weird movies, was entranced by the movie itself. So it just proves that it does have the staying power that you expect it to. It really pulls you into the film. It's a fun film. There's nothing. The special effects are good. Definitely all items of its time. It has Linnea in it, which you can't go wrong, and Brink's in it, and it's just fun. I don't know how else to say. Sometimes you watch movies and you can rewatch them multiple times because of the fun attributes. For me, Return of the Living Dead is definitely one of those movies I can always watch on a loop because it's so much fun to watch. This movie might be the same thing. It's of its time, true, but it has that happy nostalgia that you enjoy, and it has all the good traits. So, would I recommend this? Definitely. The DVD has kind of basic, not much for it. It's classic full moon trailers, which really, you don't really need classic full moon trailers. Sorry, David was signaling me to kind of zoom in on the movie itself. But it's definitely a great movie, and if you don't want to own the DVD, just for $5 a month or $6 a month, whatever it is, get the Full Moon streaming service and get all their catalog of movies, including this and even the Moonbeam stuff. So, the movie I would say is about. I feel like my average answer is 7.5 to 8, but if I really like it, it's about an 8. It's really good. Again, like I said, it's fun. It's something of its time. It's definitely the Scream Queen movie-esque type of movie of its time as well. But don't buy it. I mean, unless you want to own a physical copy like I do. I mean, I really enjoyed it. Otherwise, if you just want to try it out and see all the other cool movies, do the streaming service. So, next, since I went to that way...
Got 2 bars left.
Thank you, David, for interrupting to tell me how much battery's left. Mr. who said, I think we've got a full charge. Well, he's just going to have to see it. He'll tell me a notice when it's like Blinky of Death. So, the new movie is Demon Divas and the Lanes of Damnation. I'd actually bought this, I guess, my first time at Cinema Wasteland, which... If you're buying movies, I think CW is definitely the location to go because they have all sorts of variety and different filmmakers. This film includes Brooke again, as well as Amy Lynn Best, who is kind of a staple of that. Debbie Rochon's in it. Rochon, I'm pronouncing her name wrong. Those are really the people you really want to care about. The filmmaker is actually, and I saw his name, and I actually saw him at Wasteland. I didn't really talk to him. What is this guy's name? Mike Watt. He's kind of one of those regulars like Amy Lynn and 42nd Street Pete and, you know, the motley crew of Ohio, which I actually kind of like. They've got a different sort of charm and a bit personality there. So, what is this about? Kind of says the name in the title. Demon Divas and the Lanes of Damnation. There's a bowling alley, that's the big thing, and it's worked by a bunch of different women, very pro-women friendly. And what happens? Well, there's some jackass sorority girls that, I guess are supposed to be in their 20s, but they look like they haven't seen 18, 19, 20, or 21 in about as long a time as it's been since I haven't had a drink for more than a year at a time. So you can see it's been quite a long time. So... they're picking on 2 girls that have pledged them, and who are just, you know, girls that have a job, that are working, and they just get treated like dirt. But luckily their bosses are demons, and they're willing to kind of lure them over to get them what they need, which is to feed, and to get the girls what they need, and more, you know, people to go on with their cause. The movie, it's an independent movie, so that's cool. I'm always pro-independent movie. I was a little worried. In the beginning of the filming, or the beginning of the picture, the picture was fine. It just, for some reason, reminded me almost like if you're watching the news, the type of news, the picture of a news channel show versus, I don't know, a movie. But obviously, it either changed or I stopped paying attention, so it wasn't a high priority. For the most part, the practical effects were good. The only bad part, what I would say, is at the very end, there's this big special effects scene that used all digital effects, and it kind of looked hokey, so that would be the only thing. The plot was good. It was really fun, and it's good to see a movie with primarily female characters. There were only maybe 4 males in the whole movie, and there was maybe like 10 to 12 females. And it was just a fun movie to see. It was just a fun, it went by really quick, too. I don't know how long I can't even gauge how long it was, but it seemed to go by really quick. A fun movie again. This could be like the Sorority Babes was the 80s version, and this is maybe like the our time version. So, right now, because it's still kind of new, and I've only watched it once, which was just today, actually, or last night. I'm going to give it a 6.5 to 7. It's definitely enjoyable, and I'll probably try it out again, rewatch it, and see if it has that same feel that I enjoyed about it. And it was not a slow-paced item. It was just as much fun as I thought it would be, and nothing took me out of the movie other than, like I said, the finale special effects. In addition, the acting's good. the characters are funny. You know exactly who to hate right off the bat because they deserve it. And it's just a fun movie. So I would definitely recommend this. Again, this is Divas, and the Lanes of Damnation. Okay, now we're going to move to a documentary. I had actually seen this documentary a while ago, and I had actually bought this probably when I first moved to Port Richey. Even though I'd seen it multiple times, it was like maybe a $3 movie in one of those cheapy little places. Actually, it could have been in Clearwater. I don't know. It is called Z Channel: A Magnificent Obsession. Now, this is not a horror movie. Obviously, it's a documentary. It's not even horror influence. What it's all about is about the Z Channel, which was the kind of one of the first, I would say, cable sort of channels or satellite channels of its day back in California. Whereas, HBO and Showtime were going nationwide, this was one that started off in California and was really showing movies for movie people. They were really now, no matter what you think of your ideas of movies, it showed the intelligent movies, it showed reviews, they had French foreign movies, all things that nowadays that are standard in any of our movie channels. Hell, they're standard in our Netflix queues. But at the time, in early 1980s, or I think it was more in early 1980s, this was not the known thing. And it's a great movie. It shows, though it's showing the Z Channel and kind of what they featured and how they turned things around for even movies that were like going to be nowhere and not even ever heard again. They put them on the map so people could learn to appreciate what a good movie is. And I guess there's not many movies that are many people who are like that. And at the core of it is the guy who started it all. His name's Jerry Harvey. He wasn't really started the channel, but he was the program director and kind of one of those people that are always in the world. He really knows people who are passionate about that, and they may not be the one who made the movie or do this, but they are definitely people who have their pulse, their finger on the pulse of where it is and what the movie should be. It kind of has this tendency to be able to show it to the masses and bring it out. And it links of how his own tragic rise and fall, which is really kind of interesting. So it corresponds with the channel, and the channel obviously could only go one way, and either way it shows what this channel did, where it brought movies at that time that were basically no one had really heard of or even appreciated that much, to a whole new realm, and how he was very influential in part of this. What I love about this documentary, as I said before, documentaries should always be something that's very passionate and you feel passionate about. Because even if you're not as interested in the subject, if the person making the movie is passionate about it, it will come through and make you interested in it. It has a bunch of different extra features, which I'm surprised. I have never seen any of this. But like I said, it's a great movie. Has interviews with a bunch of different people that you've heard of. Robert Altman, Jim Jarmusch, Tarantino, oh my god, I jack up his name, I'm not even going to say it. And Jacqueline Bisset, and a whole mess of other people. Either way, I would recommend this only if you're into documentaries, and especially film specific. This would actually also be a good one if you're taking a filmmaking class, of how the impact of films and programmers and so on, and like almost a history of film class. So recommend Z Channel: A Magnificent Obsession. If you're into horror movies, this really isn't your movie. You're into documentaries about film, this is your movie. See, I went to all that and having David put his phone on silent, and I didn't do mine. Finally, we are having the nostalgia movie. So before I give you details of this movie, let me throw it back to you. What year was this released? 87. Back in 1987, my sister and I was already deep into the horror movie things. I'd been watching Dr. Paul Bear's Creature Feature, and this would be the time that I don't even know if I watched it on Creature Feature, which it probably wasn't, or if we watched it on like a Cinemax or HBO free preview, or my dad rented it on a VHS copy from the store, from a blockbuster of its day. But either way comes the epic movie of my childhood. Probably one of the ones I watched more than anything. The Monster Squad. Yay! Okay, so now that I went over, I'm pretty sure everyone knows the plot of this movie. Bunch of kids that love monster movies and who cannot relate to that, of course. And somehow they stumble upon the old Universal monsters, the classics, of course, the creature from the Black Lagoon, Frankenstein, Dracula, the Wolfman, and the Mummy, are all showed up in this little town. And reason why is because there's some crap going down, and they want to go and reign again. Now, watching this as an adult versus watching as a child, you do have a moment or two to question some of those basic beliefs. 100 years ago, well, 100 years ago, there's a special, what is it? I forgot what it's called. Amulet, that Van Helsing used, but somehow it ends up somewhere in America. Not really sure how that managed from Europe to America, but we get past that. Also, Van Helsing's diary somehow is at someone's garage sale. Not really sure how that happened. And the final two comments to make is it seems to take place from when the kids realize that there is going to be a big monster invasion the very next day. Things pick up quickly. Presumably, these kids have plenty of time to get all their stuff together and get ready to fight the monsters quickly, which seemed quick. Very super. I don't know how they would have managed. Obviously, it wasn't the biggest plot point. The only other thing I would say is the little boy, Eugene, I believe his name is, writes a letter in crayon to the military saying, "Please, Army man, help me, monsters are coming," or something like that. And they show up that same night, later on at the end of the movie. I'm not going to go into the details of that, but first thing, the mailman must have been working at super speed, and the military somehow don't care that letters are being written in crayon to them. But that's your adult mind thinking. And if you look past those stupid little things, which I'll take it. It does take a second to do that. You look at the fun parts of this movie. The fact that, the kids have the greatest lines. It's like everything you'd imagine. Wolfman has nards, or I kicked Wolfman in the nards. The whole virgin conversation, because when you were that age, you probably didn't know what a virgin was, and just asking it, have you or not been dorked? Just funny references and points of comments that were at that time. I love how the Wolfman is still as sympathetic as he always is. He was never a bad character in those old Universal movies. He just was cursed with something, and you get the same feeling here. I also noticed certain things that you notice more as an adult that you never really paid attention to as you were younger. Scary German guy. How much deeper is it now knowing that you realize when he mentions that he knows a lot about monsters is really because he was a Jew who lived through the Holocaust. That just messes with your mind, which is something you bypass as a child. In addition, looking at the parents who look like they're about to have a divorce in a minute, and you think, oh, it's a happy ending. But really, the issues they still have will still be occurring, and they'll probably break up, and this could be some weird tragicness. But outside those deep moments, it's got everything you'd want. It's got kids fighting and killing the monsters. Frankenstein is taking a spin, is friendly with the little girl and doesn't accidentally throw her in a lake, just like the old classic Frankenstein. Takes the right nods, has the right special effects, it has the right fun. It's just a great movie, and it's definitely a family-friendly movie. I know people usually don't like to think of horror movies as friendly family, but this is really one of those movies that it can definitely be one you watch with your kids. Basically a nice intro to horror movies without traumatizing them deeply. The fact that the kids saved the day really is super cute too, and I don't know. It still holds a great piece of my heart at this age. And it's not even because I used to have the hugest crush on Ryan Lambert, or Randy, I think his name is. Anyways, Monster Squad. Because I love this so much, 8.5. Why not? So, we reviewed 4 movies. I basically rambled on. David's busy playing with his phone. Again, I appreciate everything everyone's been able to do. I know there's probably only like 5 people watching this, and David's probably one of them. But I'm going to keep doing these, and until someone says don't do them anymore, which, come on, I'm not going to do that. Until I get ignored completely or I get bored of this, probably more the latter than the former. I'm going to keep doing this, and I really want people's um, comments on movies and so on. Right now, like I said, I've still got some movies that I haven't seen in a long time, haven't seen at all, that I still need to watch, and I'm ordering in new movies, so there's always something to do. Uh, have a happy, I don't know, early Thanksgiving. It's not here yet, but I'm sure I'll probably do a couple more before then. Thank you. Have a great night.